meeting. Today is Wednesday, May 28th, and thank you all for taking your time and join us today. On our agenda, we have our leadership updates followed by the subgroup leads updates. And then on the last agenda items will be our PFE subgroup lead, Brian Michelle, will present the PFE STU2 ballot reconciliation JIRA issue, related to the category tag. And the goal is to seek the consensus and approval from the PACIO community. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Dave has a conflict, and I will cover the PACIO leadership updates. All right, first, people probably received their meeting change regarding this PACIO contributor meeting. And the goal for the program perspective is trying to enhance the meeting efficiency and minimize the redundancy across the PACIO meeting. And you guys probably realize we have a lot of PACIO meetings because we are a very busy group. We have multiple IG development and different subgroups all going on together. But I think people's time is valuable. And as a program lead, and we are trying to evaluate our current PACIO meeting and trying to consolidate the meeting. So for this meeting, we used to have an hour and a half allocated for weekly provide updates, and each of the subgroup provide updates. And we also discuss the USCDI comments discussion, and as well as other topics. Those are valuable topics. And based on our survey, probably 90% of time we can finish within 1 hour. So as one of the efforts to improve the efficiency of the PACIO work in meetings, and we are trying to reduce our meeting time for this meeting to 1 hour. So the new schedule is every Wednesday, 1:30 to 2:30 Eastern time. There are some concerns that if we couldn't finish cover the topics and we need to cover, and I think we want to just give it a try to see how it goes. And if we think we need more time, we can reevaluate. Another offers is like efforts including we eliminated the whole PACIO subgroup lead meeting because each of the subgroups has their own meeting. So we will communicate our agenda for this meeting through email. And we'll continue assess other PACIO meetings and for other streamline and reduce overlap. And we are open to additional recommendation from the PACIO community, how we can improve and to further optimize the meeting structure. Any question regarding the meeting consolidation and change? If not, and I will proceed to the PACIO use case and the timeline updates. For the advanced directive interoperability subgroup, the STU2, pre-STU2 effort is still going on. The subgroup has concluded their environmental scan and started to applying the STU2 JIRA tickets change. And the goal is targeting September HL7 ballot. And the deadline to submit the NIP is notice for intention to ballot is June 29th. And the IG freezing deadline is in July. So the group is very busy. And the July Connect Zone is the last chance for the group to test their IG change. So it's very important. And the subgroup also will be hosting a track for the Connect Zone as ADI subgroup as a track. For personal functioning and engagement IG, The STU2 ballot reconciliation is wrapping up as Brian will be presenting one of the last sticking issues to the group and seeking approval from the PACIO community. And the goal is to present it to all the resolution to the patient care work group tomorrow during the work group meeting to seek the approval for publication. At the same time, their PFE subgroup started look at their further future work, the STU3 IG development. They identified the pain points gathered from the clinician from their subgroup, and they are investigating to develop additional file resource and profiles to enhance the IG to facilitate data exchange for those particular use case. The transition of care STU1 ballot is closed in early May, and the group has the IG has passed officially. Only one negative vote. Their technical team has triaged the tickets and started to working on apply the change. And additional effort, including the group is recruiting patient and patient care advocate and group, and also the behavioral health to refine the IG. Standard medication profile, the STU1 IG is officially published. It's a great milestone. Congratulations to the SMP use case subgroup. And in addition, so that's probably before I joined PACIO, there are some feedback from the PACIO community to develop a pediatric related as SMP group. And a group of the pharmacists actually get together. They actually develop the use case, and they request a presentation to the PACIO community. That's great news. And stay tuned for their upcoming presentation for their SMP subgroup. Any questions regarding the PACIO use case and timeline updates? And each of the subgroup will provide detailed updates in the subgroup update section. If no question, upcoming conference. So there is a HL7VD person-centered care for healthier community forum and work group, and that's a virtual event. The PACIO member plan to attend that, but the presentation topic is still TBD. So the next upcoming big conference or the CMS, it will be the CMS Connect Zone. It's the event happened in July 15 to 17. It's a free event. We encourage every PACIO community member, if you you will be available, feel free to register and attend, and this could be your first and many of one of your Connect Zone you attend. And the PACIO will have 2 tracks, CMS Connect for the CMS Connect Zone 6, and we have ADI and the TOC separate, which cover the SMP and the PFEIG as well. Another conference is American Health Informatics Management Association, AHIMIA annual conference. The PACIO abstract has been accepted, and our PFE subgroup lead, Jamar, will be presenting on behalf of PACIO during that conference. So next one is also happening in October. It's a National Committee for the Quality Assurance NCQA Health Innovation Summit. And our TOC subgroup lead, Terry and Holly, will be presenting and advocate the PACIO project. If you know any opportunities, any of the conference could be interested for the beneficial for PACIO community, feel free to reach out. The Myra team will be happy to facilitate with an abstract submission. CMS Connect Zone. That's a good opportunity for us to test our IG. And we said the date is in July. It's free. And it's a 3-day event, but the first day will be presentation for the policy and the technology. And the second day is a showtime. For us, it's the heavy lifting will be happening on day 2, including the testing and the PACIO track demo. And the day 3 will be track highlights and the presentation. The link for registration is available, and also the PACIO track conference page is also included in their slide deck. The PACIO team, the PACIO community, and the MITRE team has been working diligently on the Connect Zone planning. This is a timeline, and the last week, and the participants and committee and the scenario has been, the storyline has been frozen, and the sample data complete. Sample data is actively, the team is actively working on the sample data creation. And the next Thursday is the deadline to finalize the sample data. And then the sample data frozen date is June 19th. And we plan June 26th, we'll do the demo dry run. And after the July 4th holiday, we'll have a second dry run on July 10th. Then that will be followed by the showtime on the July 16th for the Connect Zone. And we have the Thursday PACIO Tech Team call to discuss the Connect Zone planning. If you are interested, feel free to join us for the Thursday meeting. All right, that concludes the leadership updates. Any question? Any comments? All right, hearing none. Let's move up to the next section of our agenda. That will be subgroup updates. I don't see Jamar or Lisa. Uba, are you?
Yeah, I'll be reporting out today. Can you hear me okay?
Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, so I don't have slides to show, but earlier today, the PFE group went over what Brian will be going over at the later part of this meeting, and discussed what we'll be discussing as a group later. Then we also had a discussion about 3 different device-related profiles that the PFE community went over the past few months, actually. So there's 3 existing profiles related to devices that we looked at specifically to facilitate ordering of a device, and specifically in PAC settings, and also to look closely at how those profiles support or don't support documentation that could help with reimbursement down the road, since that's a big issue. So we had a culmination event today where we pulled together all the data elements that we reviewed across the 3 profiles, and looked at the information that's captured in at least one of those 3, and then identified gaps within the existing data elements for those 3 profiles. So the PFE group found various different ways to enhance the existing profiles to support PAC-related orders and facilitate reimbursement. Our next step is to try to speak with a person or persons who are involved in the development and maintenance of those 3 profiles, to see if the PFE group can collaborate with them to update their current profiles. And if that's not possible, then we'll have to figure out what the PFE, PACIO PFE group can do itself to create a profile. But TBD on that. But thank you to all the PFE community members who did such great work to go over that really crucial profile information. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, great. I'll pass it back to you, Yolanda.
Thank you very much, Uba, for providing the PFE subgroup updates. Next, we have James and Terry to provide the TUC subgroup update.
Sure, Terry, did you want to?
Nope, fire away. Thank you.
I got a slide deck that's not in presentation, but so I apologize. But, just a quick update on what we've been doing over the last week or so. The Connectathon, as noted, we're in the throes of that. We are working to finalize like all of the nuance within the scenario. The planning is complete, but there are a couple of orders of operation for some of the scenario activities that need to be defined. We'll be coordinating tomorrow, hopefully, with all the participants during our technical meeting. But we'll probably get an email off between now and then also to let people take a look at that ahead of time. And the other big thing that we need to nail down is all of our medications. Since this is a complex case that has lots of different medications and we're going through three different settings, there will be a lot of different reconciliations that happen. So to nail that down also. And then on the more direct work of the transitions of care group, we are continuing to press forward and trying to bring some patient and caregivers in to participate in doing the data element review. We met last week with 2 patient organizations. Sherry, I'm sorry that I forgot to include these folks that we've been talking to in the email sent earlier. I had just included the folks that have already signed up to participate. But the 2 groups that we were talking to, the patient and family centered care, as well as the Patients for Patient Safety, are both organizations that help bring communities together so that we can leverage them for trying to find additional patient participants. So we're in contact with them and trying to understand the best way to leverage those organizations to pull any of their members forward. So that discussion is ongoing. And then lastly, we're talking with Cherry, who's one of the folks that's on the National Transitions of Care Coalition. So she'll be helping us reach out to folks who are participating in that organization to see if we can get a couple more participants in our patient and caregiver role. I think that covers it at the moment. So did I miss anything, Terry?
No, that looks great. A lot of excellent response from the patient caregiver work group. So it's going to be an interesting body of work. Thanks, James. Looks good.
Thanks all. Back over to you, Yolanda.
Great. Yeah, great work. Thank you, James and Terry, for providing the updates. Now we'll invite our ADI subgroup leads, Maria, to provide the updates for the ADI subgroup.
Hi there. We have a lot of updates to provide. We had our meeting. We did the report out with you guys. We've been fine-tuning the dates, everything for the Connectathon. And I don't think we really have much of an update to provide. I don't think we met last Wednesday. If we did, then I did the report out last Wednesday. Sorry, I'm back from vacation. So I think we're good to go.
Great. Yeah, no problem. I think last week we did provide the ADI subgroup updates to the whole PACIO community, and that's lots of great work going on in the ADI subgroup. Thank you. All right, Brian, are you ready? Or with the PFE sub STU2 ballot reconciliation, it's wrapping up, and the team has been applying for the change for the 0 tickets fined during the STU2 ballot process. And this particular issue is regarding the PFE observation category. So the technical solution has a trade-off with the performance. That's what Brian is trying to figure out. And the goal is to present the solution resolution and seek the approval from the PACIO community and present to the patient care work group tomorrow. And Brian, if you're ready, you can take it away. Brian, if you're talking, you're on mute. Right. Let me. So while we are waiting for Brian, any other topic from the community, from anybody? So, so James, probably you can provide additional information regarding the Connexon and Connexon preparation.
Sure. So the work that's ongoing for finishing out the different scenarios, we have kind of medications that were used in a previous Connectathon. We're going to be going through and working, I think, across maybe Nadia, Terry, I'll be sending this back over to you, and actual meds to make sure we have the right medications first, and then kind of the changes in what was prescribed throughout each stay. That would be kind of the important aspects to then be reconciled. The medications, we have kind of the 3 different states of medications within the resources. Since we're leveraging the standard medication profile, we'll be working through the home prescribed drugs. We'll be working through the administered drugs, and then the actual medication statements, which are part of the medication list process. So we'll be kind of going through and looking at all those different states of the different medications that are included, so that we can really have a strong presentation on and reality for the scenario of the stroke that Betsy Smith Johnson has gone through. So that's as mentioned, that's really the kind of major thing that is kind of outstanding at the moment. UBA's been doing a lot of work to go through and create all of the assessments for the PFE across different time points, since we have kind of admission and discharge versions of a lot of those. That was one of the questions we were going to try and resolve, was if when going to the skilled nursing facility, do we really have 2 different sets of assessments of Betsy Smith Johnson when she comes in presenting with a stroke, and then the assessment of that discharge before she's handed off, and is each of those assessments a critical data element that the skilled nursing facility should be receiving? So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that while we have folks at hand.
Yeah, James, in terms of the assessments of her stroke, those are always very helpful, especially the last one. But the one before it also then gives you an idea what the trajectory is.
Right.
So,
And that's kind of what I was guessing was the admission is important and the dismissal discharge because it'll give you that variance of
yeah,
how much improved. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That helps.
makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe not so much in the discharge from the skilled nursing facility to the home health agency. That would largely probably just be focused on the discharge set of assessments.
Yes, yeah, that would make sense.
Okay. Yeah, we're trying to boil this down to some of the critical data elements so that we don't kind of belabor the point of showing every time there's a an assessment done, just the critical ones for our transitions. Joanne?
Yeah, thank you. As far as going from skilled nursing to home health or any between any of the post-acute for Medicare beneficiaries, the standardized post-acute assessment items are essential so that because that presents on admission to SNF and then a discharge, the actual functional change. And then that becomes almost the baseline for where they are at the next level of care. So
Sure.
that's something it really does become essential information, not just from a clinical perspective, but also for payment.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay.
I will lean on UBA to help make sure we're getting that information documented properly.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you for providing the input for the Connexon story and the sample data. Looks like Brian is ready. Brian,
Yes, hello. One moment, I'm just going to drop a couple of links in the chat. Go. And one more. Alrighty, can you all see that? Hopefully, yes.
yes.
All right, cool. So thank you all for your time and attention today. I wanted to talk to you about one of the ballot comments that we received for PFEIG STU2. Of course, we are mid-ballot reconciliation now. Previously, I had already presented all of the ballot comments and voted, obtained your approval. But today, I would like to revisit one of the comments that we got, specifically. This deals with a new profile that we were considering creating, the category tag profile. And the reason we are revisiting this now is as we were going through ballot reconciliation and making the changes, we, through our testing, realized that this particular change, adding this new profile, may not actually give us the intended benefits that we wanted, and may actually introduce some additional confusion. So I'll explain the issue, and I guess what I'm hoping to get from you all today is a vote. I'm jumping ahead to the end, but what I'm hoping to do today is to hold a vote to you know, unaccept our previous resolution and vote to hold off on this change, either mark it as not persuasive or consider it for future use. So I dropped some links in the chat. If you prefer to follow on your own screen, you can see the comment that was submitted and a link to the PFEIG. So of course, within the PFE implementation guide, a lot of our profiles are observation-based, and specifically, one of the, I'm sorry, was there a question? I guess not. Specifically within these observation-based profiles, one of the core features of the PFE Personal Function Engagement IG is these ICF categories. So you can see we have this slice for category here. So within the category data element, you have several slices, and this is the one that we're looking at. These are things that come from the ICF, the International Classification of Functioning, Disability, and Health. This categorization system is used to provide some guidance to the clinicians and other users, of apps that utilize this IG, basically to provide some guidance to them to pare down, the huge number of line codes they would normally have to deal with, provide recommendations, things like that. The change that this ballot comment requested was moving this ICF category out of the uh, observation profiles and into its own new profile, which we had called category tag. The reason this was originally suggested is that we thought there might be some potential benefits to that. We were imagining creating a similar relationship to, when you have a practitioner and practitioner role as two separate profiles that are linked together. You know, we had talked about things like creating like a tag cloud where you could, see all the things that are categorized with a certain ICF category. We thought that might provide, faster, more efficient data retrieval. But as we started making this change and, going through some testing, we found that, not only do we maybe not get the intended benefits, but also that, this design change could introduce some additional confusion for our implementers specifically. One thing I want to emphasize, this is, functionally equivalent either way you do it. The clinicians, patients, any users of, applications will still see all of the data. This is purely an under the hood structural change. But let me go to this next slide. This is some data that I gathered. So what I did was I uploaded some sample instances to the MELD server, which of course we're going to use in the upcoming Connectathon, and we can create our own kind of test sandboxes here. The left bar in blue is the retrieval time in milliseconds. If you are retrieving a certain PFE observation, exactly like the URL that you're going for, and it takes about 400 milliseconds. The other two bars are different kinds of searches you could execute using the PFE IG as it is. You can see those are a bit slower, but the difference you're talking about is 800 versus 400 milliseconds. This blue bar, if you're talking about improving efficiency, that's kind of the theoretical limit, like the fastest you could possibly get. So, to save 400 milliseconds maybe would be worth it if our users were, complaining that things are slow. Of course, that hasn't actually happened. So we're kind of, when it comes to this particular perceived benefit, we're kind of anticipating a need that may not actually exist. So I just wanted to share that data. This slide here is kind of a summary of potential reasons that we might not want to touch this and instead leave it as it is. As I said before, both approaches, whether you, keep this ICF category in, the category field within the observation, or you move it to a separate profile, it's functionally equivalent. All the data is still there. Clinicians and patients will still see all the same stuff. But, as it is right now, you can see we have this clearly defined data element here called category. If you're moving this out of the category data element into like a separate profile, again, these are kind of under the hood things that clinicians and other users won't really have to worry about. But, there's the possibility that it could introduce additional confusion for, software implementers. Of course, we want to avoid any unnecessary complications because, our IG is too complicated. There's always the chance, people just won't want to adopt it. And of course, we want to have widespread adoption. As I said before, any potential savings in like search time is, in my opinion, maybe not worth the added complexity. You're taking something out of a data element clearly labeled category, and I just imagine, people might look at this and say like, well, why is the category not in the category field? Why is it, in a separate location? So I think that's kind of my summary of, reasons that we have kind of backtracked on this comment that we had previously presented. So here's my proposal. For this ballot comment, which I linked in the chat, fire 48944, what I would like to do is to hold a vote to unapprove the previous resolution of persuasive. I'm suggesting a new resolution be considered for future use if we think this idea is, something that we might want to do in the future if there is a benefit, as more people start to use this IG. We can even go a step further and say, there's truly no benefit to even considering this and just marking it as not persuasive. My suggestion was considered for future use. I guess the one caveat, in my testing, I wish I had just a little bit more time to do a little more thorough testing at scale. That's the one thing I admit that I ran out of time for. So there's always the possibility you will see some savings in time if you have, a very large data set, but that remains to be determined. So that's my summary. This is the point where I would normally ask if we are ready to hold a vote.
Is there any questions for Brian? Is that clear to everybody what we are voting on?
So without the category, does that misalign how the profile or the resource is used in R6? Like, obviously, we thought we needed a category because there was something that we needed to do with the data that we weren't able to do. So when we got the category approved, was that to create alignment with R4 or R6, and now we're backing away from that, or
No,
what?
in
Because I
fact,
just had to reverse the ticket too. I get how it works.
it's a good question. No, it wasn't to, introduce alignment. We're talking about introducing a totally new profile. So if anything, it's more aligned without doing this change. But the category will exist either way. It's just a matter of where it lives, whether it remains a part of the observation-based profiles as it is now, or whether we move it to a separate profile. But no, it was not introduced to increase alignment.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of understand. We had to do the same thing. So it's always hard when you pass something through and then you take a look and you're like, oh, God bless America. Okay, wait a minute. We might have to take a step back on that. So that's all I was looking to understand.
Yeah, it's true. Well, it would have been worse if we made the change and then published it and then realized, oh shoot, this is, wrong. So it's better to catch it now than, even later.
All right. I think, yeah. So I think we are ready to vote. Do we have a motion?
Oh, yes, I would like to make a motion to unapprove our persuasive resolution and switch it to considered for future use. And then, of course, after this vote, the next step will be I'll present it to the sponsoring work group, Patient Care, hopefully tomorrow. But that is my motion to change the resolution of this previously submitted comment.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second. It's
Beautiful.
Joanne.
Joanne?
Thank you,
Okay.
Joanne.
Anyone want to abstain? Any further discussion? Any objection? All right. I think we pass a vote 17 to 0 to 0.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate the time.
All right. Thank you, Brian, for presenting and working so hard to gather STU2, the PFE STU2 ballot reconciliation complete. Great. Thank you, everyone. We have covered all the agenda items today. And are there any walk-on topics from anybody? Any discussion, questions, anything? All right. Here are none. And I think we can conclude this meeting. Thank you all very much for taking your time to join us. And thank you very much for your contribution and thoughts and continue contribute to the PACIO community. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.